Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming to the 4th Annual Women in Data Science Charlotte Conference. My name is Angela Berardinelli. I am the Undergraduate Program Director for UNC Charlotte's School of Data Science. The WIDS Worldwide Initiative launched as a one-day conference at Stanford University in November 2015. The inaugural conference live stream was watched by over 6,000 people from all around the world, indicating an opportunity for global impact. Since then, WIDS has become a global movement featuring a conference, datathon, podcast series, and educational outreach program. The WIDS Worldwide Conference features outstanding women in academia, industry, government, and nonprofits doing innovative technical work in data science, AI, and related technical fields. The main conference is spearheaded by Stanford University every March, shared via live stream, YouTube, and Facebook Live. WIDS regional events are held around the world in conjunction with the main conference. These events are organized and hosted by like-minded volunteers called WIDS ambassadors. We'd like to thank our very own WIDS ambassador, Madeleine Ivanova, for her hard work and dedication to the WIDS movement. This year, the WIDS Charlotte Conference takes place over 2 days and features 2 keynote speakers, more than 40 other speakers, case studies, interactive workshops, and more. I'd like to thank our sponsors for this year's event. Lowe's Inc. has been the title sponsor for WIDS Charlotte since its inception. Our other sponsors are Atrium Health, Wells Fargo, Genesis 10, and the Fisher Family Foundation. Lastly, we could not host WIDS Charlotte without the WIDS Worldwide Initiative. The goal of the WIDS movement is to inspire, educate, and support women in the field of data science and technology, and we hope to accomplish just that during our 2-day virtual event this year. Before introducing the morning panel discussion, we'd like to share a short video from our title sponsor, Lowe's.
We have one of the most talented .com and tech teams in retail right now. We've invested the capital to make sure we do it correctly, and we're starting to see the work pay off.
Lowe's, the terrific home improvement chain, just reported a magnificent quarter with a huge earnings beat.
One company that's also doing it well is Lowe's. They're big investments that they made in the e-commerce platform, so really starting to see those investments pay off.
You and I have talked a lot about the power of omnichannel. In-store, online, buy online, pick up in store, curbside, you name it.
You've got an energized group and a loyal group. You have decided to work closely with Google Cloud, which has become very aggressive. You had amazing triple digit, and yet at the same time, you have said on the call that it's not even finished yet.
Now, I am honored to welcome Maddie Ivanova, Senior Manager of Data Science for Lowe's Inc. and WIDS Ambassador, to introduce this morning's panel discussion.
Welcome everyone to our 4th annual Women in Data Science Conference. My name is Madeleine Ivanova, and I'm excited and honored to be here today in several roles as a woman in data science with Stanford Ambassador and as the conference organizer alongside with UNCC Charlotte. So first I want to start with thanking UNCC Charlotte and their great team for putting this event together. We couldn't be able to make it without you guys. And I'm so proud to be part of the LOS team. Over the last 4 years, LOS has been providing continuous support for this event. And LOS hasn't been only the title sponsor for the conference, but was supporting the initiative in various different levels, different ways. So thank you, LOS, for your support and making this event possible. And thank you to all gold and contributing sponsors for sharing our passion to support diversity in the field. Given the COVID circumstances this year, we couldn't get together in person. However, we used this as an opportunity to open up the event for even larger audience than previous years. So I'm proud to announce that we have exceeded our expectations and we have more than 800 registrations for this event. I'm very excited to see this event gaining more popularity with every single year. As people realize the importance of data science, of data, and the endless possibilities of machine learning and artificial intelligence in today's world and in the future. As Angela said, WITS is a global movement. There are WITS conferences in more than 200 locations and over 60 countries. So if you think about the huge impact and how this happened in just 3 years and data science gained such popularity, it's truly inspiring. So personally, I'm very passionate about this initiative because we need more data professionals and diverse points of views in the field. As you know, the data is the new currency, and we need the data masterminds to be able to analyze the vast amount of data, provide business insights, build intelligent solutions, and make an impact. To tell you more about the history of this event, the event in Charlotte specifically started 4 years ago when I heard about the Stanford initiative, and at LOS we saw the importance of data science and the very fast growing demand for data professionals in the field. So in partnership with UNC Charlotte and Stanford, we wanted to be proactive and help solve for the growing demand. And so we organized the first event to inspire more people to pursue career in data science. Soon enough, we had more industry partners joining the initiative, which we're super grateful for. As you have heard, data science is considered as the hottest job of the 21st century by the Harvard Business Review. Also, Glassdoor has listed data science as top 3 jobs in the United States for 2020. And as the demand for data scientists and data analytics in general is increasing every year, the requirements for the field are also changing. So it's really important to have events like this to keep ourselves informed on the latest trends and their impact on the data science field and in our industries. So data science, data-inspired and data-driven scientists are so critical right now as decisions are made based on data. The amount of data we gather every day and the insights that data can provide is just growing exponentially. Combined with the rapid technology development, it creates endless opportunities for the impact professionals could have in this field. And I need to mention that this event doesn't have a commercial touch to it. It's open to everyone in our Charlotte community. Our mission is focused on building our data science community by showing how exciting and diverse the world of data science is. So today we've discussed past, present, and future of data science, the role of data science in the corporate world and different industries within the Charlotte community, and feature successful female leaders to inspire the future generations of technology leaders and data scientists. So I hope you guys are really excited for today because I really am. And our first segment for today will be a panel discussion where we have 4 successful women with different backgrounds at different point of their career to share diverse and unique perspectives on career and leadership. The panel is called Inspiring and Leading Through Change. It is a way to focus on you, the difference you can make in your career, and how you direct your talent to make the world a better place, by way of example of these amazing people on the panel today. You can find their biographies on the With Charlotte website, so I would encourage you to read them to learn a bit more about their journey. And I also want to remind you that this is right now, it's a great opportunity for you to ask questions in the chat. We'll take them in the Q&A session. We're going to leave 20 minutes for Q&A, so you'll have the opportunity to ask any questions you might have. You wouldn't get this opportunity every day, so I hope you take it. And I will start with introducing our panelists with no further ado, and give them a few minutes to introduce themselves and share their background. So first we have Shiva Jordan. Shiva is Chief Digital Technology Officer at Honeywell. Shiva, you have a very interesting career path from Disney to Honeywell. Would you share your background?
Yes, hello everyone and welcome. I'm so happy that you joined us today. So yeah, I have a very interesting career. I started my career at Disney, at Walt Disney World in Central Florida, and I was actually on the finance side of things. And then I'm going to date myself for a minute, but we actually saw the opportunity to really introduce CRM to the organization. So previously, early, this was back in 1999, you'll appreciate this, there was no centralized database of our guests. If you came once every 20 years or 20 times a year, we didn't know anything about you. So I saw the opportunity to really, change that and introduce the whole CRM notion where you actually can know your market segmentations, know the difference between a pre-family, a family, and then a post-family. They will all experience Disney differently. So great experience. That was my entry into understanding and loving the ability to understand data and use data to really drive business decisions and really strategy for the company. Left Disney, went on to Cisco. So I went from, Walt Disney World entertainment, food and beverage to networking. So that was my deep move into networking, very significant cultural shift, moved from Central Florida to Silicon Valley and spent 9.5 years with Cisco Systems, which again, learned a lot there, revamped their entire e-commerce strategy and really played a lot in the marketing and sales arena in most of the applications and became really inundated with collaboration. So how do you think about data and how do you use data and collaboration to have employee engagement and customer and partner engagement? Left Cisco and went to Symantec, became the CIO for a security company. Thought that would be very interesting. Security is hot and really a concern and a big risk to most companies. So I thought, why shouldn't I become the CEO for the company that makes security products? And so did that for 6.5 years, and then just recently joined Honeywell about a little over a year ago. And I'm super excited about what Honeywell is. Like, you think of Honeywell as a 114-year-old industrial company that is changing the world, literally, and also becoming an industrial software organization. So we're taking all the hardware that we used to create in all the different strategic business units and turn that into software. So we're creating an operating system for really IoT devices and how people can run their buildings better, more efficiently, their locations, every non-residential commercial property in the world, through controls, through data, through analytics, and the ability to really use that at a level that, quite honestly, in scale that I hadn't thought of before. So super excited to join Honeywell and new to Charlotte. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Shiva. Our next panelist is Nilima Sharma. Nilima is Senior Vice President, Technology, E-commerce, Marketing, and Merchandising at Lowe's. Nilima, you have more than 25 years in retail and the industry. Would you mind sharing your journey?
Hi, Madeline. I think I was on mute. So nice to meet you and everybody. Thanks for joining. Looking forward to this panel. So yes, I actually started my career. I'm a computer scientist at heart. My bachelor's and master's both are in computer science. I joined Lowe's about 3 years ago. So my responsibility here is e-commerce, technology, product management, marketing, technology, product management, and merchandising. As you can imagine, for a Fortune 50 retailer, basically the digital channel, merchandising, and customer, that sort of drives our interaction with the customers. So all customer-facing technologies, how our customers are interacting with us, that's been the focus. Prior to joining Lowe's about 3 years ago, I was at Staples for about a decade and actually taking care of the B2B e-commerce business there, and built some cloud native platforms prior to coming to Lowe's. Prior to that, I was with a JP Morgan Chase, brokerage, high-speed transactions, and client services. And then prior to that, some time with Deloitte. And in between, I actually did a technology networking startup, dating myself. So basically delivering content over DSL. And this was a thing about a couple of decades ago, which was a big deal back then. So, Lowe's has been on a really exciting journey. We have really transformed our e-commerce technology, full stack, completely modernized. Some of the content that you saw in the video is, really a strong leadership from our CEO, Marvin Ellison, and his belief and his support, intense support in technology that's allowed us to be able to really invest and go be absolutely intensely customer focused and create technologies which are healthy, which are modern, which can scale, which are beautiful, which understand, which are intelligent. And that is what we're working on, and the passion that we have to continue to build technology stays. Personally, for me, I am extremely passionate about women in technology. We continue to be a minority in this field, and there is no reason that should be happening. So, Madeline here, she's part of my team. I'm so excited that, Lowe's continues to support and sponsor women in technology initiatives.
Thank you so much. Our next panelist is Jessica Dunn. Jessica is Senior Vice President, Data Scientist, Chief Data Science Organization at Bank of America. Jessica, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us?
Sure. Thank you, Maddie. Well, first of all, I'm so excited to be on this panel. After hearing our first two panelists, I feel like I have much more work to do here. So I'm excited to be here. I've been at Bank of America for 17 years, starting off with modeling all over across the consumer side. My degrees are in mathematics and my master's in statistics. And so I really enjoyed this part of my career until there was one particular project that led me over to the technology side. And so there was a defining point in there, and I ended up on the technology side, building out their large analytical shared platforms. And so I learned a lot here. While this wasn't directly on my career path, it has led me to the team that I'm on now and where I'm really passionate about now, and running the high compute platform for our data scientists, not just in the chief data science organization, but across the bank. I have two little girls. I say little, they are 12 and 15. I teach girls who code, and I organize a lot of our events across the bank as in regards to bringing data scientists and the community together and bringing women in data science together. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Very interesting background. And also, last but not least, we have Ileva Aginko. She is a managing director at Truist Financial, formerly BB&T and SunTrust. So Ileva, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay, good morning. I'm very happy to be here today. I mean, I have a lot of passion for mentoring women in the field of STEM, and particularly, of course, data scientists, given my role. But I mean, I can recall times, probably I was younger, have more energy, going to the Hill and advocating for, our government to provide more opportunities, both for women in STEM careers, as well as, different diversity groups. So has always been a passion, for me. But professionally speaking, I have been in financial services for over 25 years, so this is really my industry, although I have extensive experience in B2B distribution businesses as well. As you mentioned, I am currently managing director at Truist. I joined Truist last year to lead innovation and analytics for assurance services, and we report directly to the board of directors. So this is a major focus from Truist if we think about our strategy that is a combination of personal trust, technology, and personal touch, right? Data analytics plays a great role to mine those insights, right? I said I have been in financial services for 25 years. Prior to being at Truist, I was with Bank of America, and prior to that with Wells Fargo. I mean, I was an executive in areas of quantitative technology, digital innovation and e-commerce, as well as predictive marketing analytics. I took 5-year break from working at the banks and went into consulting and built a national advisory practice at Grant Thornton for modeling and analytics. But honestly, I got tired of traveling every week. It was very rewarding, but tiring. So I am glad to be back in Charlotte with Truist. So that's about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ileva. Thank you all for the introductions. We all appreciate you taking the time today to participate in today's panel. We know that you're very busy and your schedules are overbooked and hardly have a second to spare. So we do appreciate your time today. And I want to jump on our questions. The first topic will be focused on career. So we have many people in the call today that are in the beginning of their career and are looking for direction and strategy in planning their career forward. So my first question will be, can you share with us, how did you get started? How did you get here? And was it strategic decision of your, did you know from the very beginning that you'll be in technology, or it just happened, and how the opportunities presented for you? So if you can talk about that, Nelima, if you want to start.
So no, Madeline, I was just saying that, I have been involved in science and math and science ever since I was a kid. But believe it or not, I actually did pre-medical, and I was all planning to be a doctor. And it just so happened that at the last nth hour, and I, got to see a little bit of a hands-on experimentation just at the beginning of that, with going to a morgue and just kind of walking around, and I realized that I did not have the heart for it, and it was quite revealing for me. And I decided that, I went to my dad and I said, I don't think I can do this. I cannot be a doctor. And my mom was devastated because she absolutely wanted me to be a doctor. And my dad, he says, okay, you got to do what your heart feels right for you. So what now? And I said, Dad, I am intrigued by computer science and, this field that's emerging, and I'm dating myself right here. And I said, I want to just pursue that. And Dad said, yes, of course, go for it. And that's how I got into technology. It was a little bit accidental, but I loved every bit of it, my time here.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really interesting. What about you, Sheila?
Yeah, so I'll say a couple of things. I didn't have a natural career either. I grew up in my undergraduate degrees in accounting, and then I went on to get my master's in finance and then minored in computer science. So what I would say, though, what I've learned in my career is that it's super important that you own your career. No one else does. Don't give that career up to your manager or anyone else. You own it. And I do a thing every year that during New Year's is my time of reflection, where I literally think about, what do I want to do in the next 3 years? 1 year is too short, 5 years is too long, but what's the perfect job that I want in the next 3 years? And then you do your own analysis to say, am I ready for that job? A SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my gaps? And then you figure out, okay, if I have gaps, how do I go solve those gaps? And those gaps can be solved in a whole bunch of ways, not just at work. For example, one of the things when I was at Cisco, I really wanted to be the CIO, but I really wasn't great at presenting. And yet to be a CIO, you have to naturally have an affinity to take complex problems and really reduce them down, and to be a great presenter to all audiences. I mean, in some ways, as a CIO or Chief Digital Technology Officer, you're constantly selling your ideas, you're constantly getting funding, you're constantly, so I knew I had to get really, really, really good at it. So I made a conviction that I was going to practice doing presentations, taking really complex ideas, synthesizing them. So when and if I got to that point, I knew I would be ready. So I figured out ways to close those gaps. And then I think it's really important. So you own your career, and this is going to sound like a contradictory. So you have to be kind of planful and think about those steps and what you want to do, but also be available, because there'll be times in your career that someone will tap you on the shoulder and say, I think you should go do this. Our first reaction is to say, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm not quite ready for that. I don't have all the skills, and don't do that. Before you say no, go think about it, because those turns in your career aren't incremental steps, they're leapfrog steps. When you go off and do something that a boss or a leader or someone else sees an opportunity for you that feels very, very different, don't say no. Take advantage of it. You'll learn, all of us, I think, have learned a little bit on the job and doing the job. We don't walk in with all the exact criteria to know how we're going to do this at every single moment. So there's ways that you can learn, and we're smart, so we can figure out how to figure out the things we don't know. But my biggest advice to those early in career is be planful, be aware of what you want to do and what your goal is, and spend some time thinking about that. But also be available when people tap you on the shoulder to go do something that isn't in your plan. You know that they're doing that. Those opportunities is where you will grow the most and learn the most, especially when you feel a little bit uncomfortable. So the final thing is get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, because that's where you grow the most.
That is so true. Thank you, Sheila. And Ileva, what about you? How did you navigate through your career? And was it computer science and technology your first choice?
Well, I study math economics, right? And my first job was economics research, in economic research, which lately became very helpful for banking and CCAR and macroeconomic variables. But at the time, of course, I didn't know, and I didn't know anything about banking or even the role of technology in banking. So definitely, I didn't have a plan to become a senior executive in financial services, right? So economics was my main focus initially, but then after that, as my professional interest advanced, I actually got a PhD in artificial intelligence when it was not cool like now. I mean, let me tell you, people were really surprised. There were very few institutions in the world that awarded PhDs in artificial intelligence. So I was excited. I got that. And as you can notice, I have accent. So I wasn't born in United States. I came to the States after I got my PhD. So I was not, a young child. And so excited. I started working for banking. And at the time, guess what? None of that was even part of the interest, to the point that I removed my education from my resume. I mean, people don't believe when I say this now. It was like a completely the opposite. It was a career derailer. I mean, oh no, my gosh. Then, things started changing in the industry. And I also was at the time in Jacksonville, Florida. I moved to Charlotte to work in the headquarters. There was more, many things were happening in the technology, especially the modeling. Credit card was one of the first industries it was using more, models, and even at the time, neural networks and all of that. So that was great for me. But then I realized that I was more, my way of communicating things was more from academia, because I went to my PhD to become a professor. And now here I was, and I said, well, like usually, if I want to advance on my career, and at that time I knew already that I wanted to stay in financial services, I have to rethink about the way I talk, how I synthesize the information, the words that I use, right? So I think I did and have been successful. But yeah, my advice is to be open to opportunities because as you can see, we didn't started thinking that this is going to be, our career. I mean, I have worked in diversity forums and consuls for the different banks, work with Berkeley, read a lot of the research on women. And unfortunately, women tend to downplay the skills. I mean, I have hired women or trying to hire women for a long time. I mean, in the areas of quantitative technologies, and we just don't even get the resumes, right? But we know we have the talent on the universities. So with Berkeley, we did this study, and it was when women were reading some of these words on the resumes, they didn't, on the job descriptions, they didn't apply for it. So part of having these forums is to really encourage all of us to take opportunities and, trust on your skills. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ileva. Yeah, that's really interesting, especially when you get a PhD and you think, that's the next best step in my career, and then you have to downplay it and not show it on your resume. That's really interesting. And Jessica, what about your career? Did you know from the very beginning that technology is where you belong?
Well, no, not at all. I didn't intend to end up in technology at all. I knew I loved math. I was going to go into the actuarial field and actually started there first. And then started modeling at a couple different banks and ended up at Bank of America. But I think I was open when somebody tapped me on the shoulder to come over to technology. I knew I was nervous. How could I compete with these true technologists? I was a statistician on the line of business side. But I'll tell you what gave me the advantage is that I was on the other side. So I knew what they were asking for at all times. So I take that even into my role today. I know how to ask the questions because I know exactly where they're thinking. And I think that's one of the benefits that I have in my role today. To your point too, with women earlier on in their career, I always say, find mentors. And I think it's hard to just find that first one. To find that first one that's going to help you navigate what is going on in the company. And sometimes when you get in there at first, you're so focused on just your team and your role that you don't spend any time kind of getting to know what is outside of the company. And that's so important. I also say, make sure that you're uncomfortable a little bit, because when you're uncomfortable, you're actually growing. Every time that I've just worked terribly, terribly hard, I think in one of my roles, I quit 3 times, just for an hour later to be like, okay, I know I'm growing. I know this is where I'm supposed to be. But it's really in that uncomfortable state that you really are growing.
Yeah, that is so true. And you're absolutely right that in the very beginning of your career is really difficult to find mentors because you're still junior. People are like, you can learn all of these things from all of the resources you have available. So it is certainly very difficult to find somebody that can dedicate their time on you and developing you. So I do think that conferences and events like these are very helpful, especially in the very beginning of your career, since you can have this touch to very successful professionals that you wouldn't have normally. So my next question will be more still on the career path, but what inspires you every day? What are the things that in your field, being in this position, what inspires you? What makes you wake up every day and be ready to go? What are the things that drives you, and what are your values that keep you going? So Nalima, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. So at the end of the day, I love solving problems. And, so being a builder at heart, solving problems, having empathy for our customers, having empathy for anybody who is leveraging technology to make their lives better, that is the ultimate motivation. So, when we are looking at building experiences, building capabilities for our customers, whether it's our .com business, whether it's merchants inside the stores, or whether it's marketing teams, or whether it's our associates, at the end of the day, we are focused on really how do we make their jobs easier? How do we help them get their jobs done better with technology? And that includes making sure that the technology that's available to them is resilient, it performs, it's beautiful, it's intuitive, they can work with it, it understands them, it's built for them, and also it is intelligent, it's smart, it figures things out, it contributes, it adds to their thinking. And that's been the focus for us. So if you think about it, the way we've organized ourselves is that every product has engineering, product management, data science, UX, all built in as a vertical. And they're looking at a problem, and it's bringing all those 4 dimensions to the table and leveraging all these little levers, big levers. They're actually creating solutions for the customer and for the user who's leveraging that product. And I think that's been our focus, is look at driving outcomes, look at solving problems, and use every dimension, every lever that we have in our toolbox.
Yeah, that certainly gives you purpose. And what are your personal values that help you achieve that?
I always believe that if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well.
Yeah.
So that persistence, that consistency, and just want to do the right thing and doing it well, I think your results come. So, focus on solving problems, focus on delivering results, do them well. So many ladies here talked about the fact that make yourself uncomfortable every day. So whenever you have butterflies in your stomach, it's a good sign. Make sure you wake up with something happening in the day that creates that sense of butterflies in the stomach, and go for it. So just stay with it, be consistent, be confident, solve problems, focus on things that matter.
Yeah, thank you so much. Shiva, what are the things that drive you?
So I'd say a couple things. In today's world, the only thing that's constant is that there are 24 hours in a day. And the more you do, the more you progress in your career, you get to decide at some level how you want to spend. Well, we all get to decide how we want to spend those 24 hours a day. What I think happens, especially in a large, complex global company, or really in any company, is you can get distracted by activity. Activity does not equal results. So what I constantly do every Sunday is I look at the next 2 weeks and decide, where should I spend my time? I got 24 hours a day, and where am I going to spend my time to have the biggest impact? When I go to a meeting and there's 10 IT people and 10 people in my team in the meeting, I don't need to be there. So making those conscious decisions of where you can spend your time and let go of a bunch of stuff that you may not have to be involved in, or you'll get involved in the right time. I think sometimes we over-rotate that we have to be everywhere we need to be, and visibility. And I just think that in today's world, especially with COVID and working from home and all that, visibility is not, I don't think, as important as it used to be. It's about results, back to what Nalima said. So activity doesn't equal results. You really want to focus on those things that have an impact, and those things that you can make a difference. And quite honestly, those things that you have a passion for, and that you can show your thought leadership. Again, coming up in your career, you may say that feedback I just said was more as you're a senior leader, but the reality is it isn't true. You have your job to do, and everyone has a job to do, but you can decide where you want to spend extra money that you have extra time on, that you have a passion for, and that will make a difference. If you don't have those opportunities, ask for them. Getting your job done and doing your job really, really well, but raise your hand to go take on a company challenge. Raise your hand to say, I got more bandwidth and I'd like to help. Because really, when you have your passion and your capability, then you can deliver impact. That's what, I built a career on taking on the things that no one else wanted to do. Why? Because as soon as someone said that can't be done, I'm like, I think it can be done. So really stretch yourself and take those things on, because people will notice, leaders will notice, and you'll get more and more of those kind of real meaty, challenging assignments.
Yeah, I do agree that it's very difficult to understand what is the signal around all of this noise, around all of this busy work, what is the most important thing. Ileva, what about you? What is your driving force? What inspires you to wake up every day?
Okay, well, work related, because sometimes I get inspired by things that are not work related. Let's put it that way. It's part of balancing work, right, and life. But talking about, of course, career and work. I mean, the reason I joined Truist is because it's an amazing company. The reason I took this particular role is because it's very challenging. I mean, early in my career, I didn't know that I will gravitate to areas that are not only challenging, but new. So they were not done before. So now somebody have to go and pull the pieces together, not only on business strategy, process, and technology, but also cultural changes. I mean, many of the areas that I go, it requires to bring a cultural change, right? Something that people say, yeah, we want to do it, but hey, when you really need to do it, everybody feels uncomfortable. So I am now leading the innovation and analytics for assurance services, which is really internal audit reporting to the board. This is a major change on this profession. I mean, I have worked, as you know, before on digital marketing. I mean, people there want this and they are open. Here, you need to go through a major cultural change to bring all of that. But at the end of the day, you are really impacting the entire organization. I mean, enabling revenue generation, enabling, risk mitigation, and of course, efficiencies. But the fact that I have to spend this, focus on motivating people, how to use technology difference, how to look at data, how to also change the perception, right, of assurance services across the company. Because when we come to talk about innovation, the first reaction is, oh, you're just going to have a check, a list to check. I say, oh, no, let me tell you, we are leaders on using machine learning. We're leaders on using, natural language processing. So really to have that sit at the table and become truly embedded into the innovation agenda of the company, that is my main motivation at this moment.
Thank you, Ileva. And Jessica, what is your driving force?
Well, I think for me, it's about, what is inspiring me. It's really around the team and what we're able to accomplish. And so I've been on teams that have been draining, but I've also found this team where we kind of lift each other up and we're able to advance data science across the bank. And that's just an amazing thing. And then when you can bring that into the community of data scientists across the bank and be able to do the same thing, it's very inspiring, which had led to, where I'm focusing on, which is the women in data science. But it really came from the work that the bank was doing around Girls Who Code and my journey down Girls Who Code and seeing that these programs are really making a difference in girls' lives going through those programs and what they're doing. So I love that. I love being able to affect change.
Yeah, making an impact. So my next question, we are very close to Q&A session, but I do want to touch more broadly on the role of data science in the different industries, because every company has their own pockets of data science, and when people are applying for jobs, changing jobs, it's they don't really understand what data science means for this company. Sometimes different companies call data scientists just the analytics group. Sometimes data scientists are very research-oriented group in the company. So Nelima, what does data science looks like at Lowe's? If you can talk about that more broadly, the different pockets of data science and why data science is so important for our business.
Yeah, so Madeline, so you're absolutely right. I mean, we are leveraging data science as core to running our business. And what does that mean? That means solving day-to-day problems at scale where computers can, solve for at a much higher degree, a lot more complexity in a very easy fashion. And every one of our solutions and products, that's one piece where we're inserting, ingesting, integrating data science and those models, those machine learning models, to make that product smarter, the way the technology can help the customers better in pockets, in each of these product areas. Then, of course, there is a larger impact that data science, optimization, forecasting can make, which can horizontally help the performance of the company, performance of our various products, our strategy. It can influence the strategy, insights that it could provide, help us make different business decisions. And that is actually happening more and more at the horizontal level. So we're looking at vertically every product. How are we making that product smarter, perform better, drive better outcomes? And we're looking at horizontally, how is it helping connecting the dots from various parts of the enterprise, making sense out of it, creating models on top of it, and driving analytical insights that help us drive decisions, which will change the strategic intent or influence the strategic direction of the company. So I think it's two-dimensional, Madeline, as you know how we're looking at it.
Thank you, Nalima, for explaining the strategy. And so Shiva, what about the role of data science at Honeywell? How do you see data science and the role of it in your business?
So again, it's just core. When you think about what the transition Honeywell's going through, we were a traditional hardware company. You might think of us as thermostats, or we actually supply parts to almost 95% of all airplanes that fly. We actually supply the recurring parts for those. So we're in the aerospace business, the oil and gas business. We're helping, of course, with the packaging for the vaccine. So we're all over the place. When you think about what we can do, and the whole new vision for Honeywell is Honeywell Connected Enterprise. So you think about how you run your home with Nest or Ring, and how you can actually see that technology in your home. Think about the ability to run multiple buildings across the globe from your phone, and to see if the HVAC system is working, or if the heating is working, or the sensors are working. You can do all that through something called Forge Analytics. So everything's going to be software, and everything's going to be connected in Forge Analytics. So super powerful from our go-to-market standpoint, but also, it's the number one strategy we have inside the Honeywell digital organization. And I'd like to share a story, because I love to tell stories, and I like to make it real and not necessarily always talk geek corporate speak. But the reality is, the consumer businesses have this nailed. I'll use my United app as an example. I can book my family of 4 on an international trip in 7 minutes or less without pulling out a credit card, information, a profile, anything. And the reason it takes 7 minutes or less is because they haven't quite figured out to automate seat assignment, like the window seat versus the aisle seat. So that takes 2 minutes of the 7 minutes. But regardless, to do that transaction, I'm not pulling out a credit card. I'm not pulling out my profile and who I'm flying with. I'm not pulling out anything. The reality is, to pull that off in an organization, you have 5 to 7 different functions you're working with. Branding. How does the United app look like? So marketing. You're looking at the experience of packaging and pricing, and how does the price of the airline ticket change based upon where you want to go. You're looking at finance, because you're actually processing the credit card. So to pull those examples off, it's 6 or 7 different functions that have to come together to make that 6-minute experience for consumer to be so magical and surprise and delight. And so the thread, which is why I say data is the currency of digital transformation, is because the thread of that of the data, Sheila Jordan is traveling with my profile, and I click, and then they know the travel that I've done before, and then recommending some other different locations. They know I pick which credit card I want to use. The data is the thread that makes that also magical. So I would just say that consumer experience is what many companies are trying to incorporate into their experience as we go to market, one with our consumers, but also B2B, B2B is business to business. And we're all trying to make that frictionless experience occur within our businesses in a much more complicated environment with compliance and regulatory. So super, super, super important. I think you guys in the audience have picked the right career. If I could do it all over again, I would have it. I would go down a path of data scientist, because it's not stopping. I mean, the laws will tell you that the data is just continuing to explode and explode and explode. And now when you think about the data from IoT and devices, we all know the data from our transactional systems, and we all know the data that we're dealing with, but you add social to that equation, social data, and you add in IoT data, and it's like this plethora of data that we're going to have to continue mining, get smart at, figure out how we can use that data to drive business value and growth. I mean, I just think it's just the possibility is endless.
There, and it's certainly not very trivial to connect the dots. It's it's very challenging sometimes. Ilieva, what about you and your company? What is the role of data science?
Well, first, no, thank you. First, I wanted to really mention about the role in the industry, right? I mean, to me, financial services is the blood of the economy, because without financial transactions, right, we won't be able to pay for goods and love, or travel, or buy house, right? So we need that. But technology now is really, technology and data are the enablers of financial services, right? I mean, customers, they are really looking for personalized experience, personalized advice, right? They need that, and for us to provide that to clients, we need that type of, capabilities. I mean, especially the new generations, they are used to interact, right, with many companies that are not in financial services, right? They are used to the one click on Amazon, or now buy everything from the mobile phone. So in financial services, we absolutely need to provide the same type of experience, and we do today, right? Implementing chatbots for customer service, trying to learn about those interactions, that is key. Particularly in Truist, where I want to mention, we have a large community of data scientists, and over 50% of our data scientists are female. So we're very proud about that, right? A great, community there. But our strategy, personalized touch plus technology equals touch. So right there in our strategy, technology plays a key role, and this is how we bring, value to clients, communities, and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica, if you want to share the reason for data science being so important for Bank of America and the role of it.
Yeah, I'll be quick, because I know we want to get to questions.
Yeah.
But we see the use cases across financial services growing at an exponential rate year over year. And so we see it being applied to things we just couldn't think of before. And we're also working on a whole side of the house that is AI for good. And the financial services is doing a great job in solving those cases as well. But because we're a regulated business, it is clear that just because we can do something doesn't mean we will. And that has been something that has come down from the top of the house and is kind of ingrained in every data scientist across the bank. Just because we can doesn't mean we will.
Thank you, Jessica. And I want to jump on the first question, which is related to that career shift. So in the case where you have a mid-career person, professional, who has experience, let's say, in reporting and business intelligence, how easy it is to shift gears and move to data science, and what are the things that somebody needs to do to be successful as data scientists and be hired as data scientists, given the background?
Do you want me to jump in?
Yeah,
here?
you can take that one.
Okay. So I just answered this question. That's why it's top of mind for me. And so usually with the data analyst, you're given like a complete set of instructions on what to be pulling, what to look at, and it's very defined. As a data scientist, you don't have a very defined problem. Sometimes it's not even articulated well, and you have to have that domain knowledge, the storytelling, all of the skills that a data scientist have. And it's kind of overwhelming at first, but you have to be able to formulate that problem where a data analyst is given very precise instructions to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Madeline, I can actually, just add to what Jessica was just saying. So simple thing, right? So think about a domain such as pricing. If you are looking at those pricing reports, you're analyzing that pricing data, you're a pricing analyst, it puts you in a really good place to understand that domain, understand the different attributes and metrics that you're getting on a day-to-day basis. Now, if you elevate that problem and you say, you know what, I want to be the most competitive, I want to offer the most competitive pricing to my customers. And that requires a lot of data set, whether that is competitor data sets from alternate sites coming to you, whether just industry trends, demand, how much inventory you carry, what kind of promotions are needed, what product is it, what season it is, what weather it is. All those little factors start to come in, and you take that, base domain knowledge, interconnect that, and then you figure out how do you create, how do you become a person who can teach the technology or the computers and algorithms and create models around it, which connects all these different dimensions and give insights which are way more elevated than a simpler view into decision-making process. So take a simple decision-making and convert into a more complex insights driven out of multiple variables and dimensions. So I think just building that domain knowledge is the key. Start with that, then solve the problem and keep expanding. So I just wanted to add to what Jessica said, because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, thank you so much, Naima, for that. So for the sake of time, I'm going to move very quickly to the next question here. And there is a question for Eva. Just give me 1 second. So the question is, what does data science and analytics look like in assurance and audit services at Truist? And what are some of the cutting edge initiatives, being commissioned by boards management or explored by audit teams of financial services companies? Ileva, if you want to take these ones.
Well, that's a very a heavy question. So I'm just going to mention the following. So the assurance services profession is changing, right? There is more data, more technology. Clients are demanding faster assurance, right? It's not enough anymore to come and say something happened last year, the control didn't work, right? And we need to be forward-looking. I mean, the risk profile of organizations, regardless if the industry, are changing. I mean, even we can see what happened with the pandemic. So that's a major role from audit services to be forward-looking, and to do that, we need to use, right, data and technology to make faster, right, decisions and provide advice faster. I mean, one simple example I'm going to mention, I know we don't have enough time, is full population testing. Now with data, machine learning, technology, you can do full population testing to identify outliers, rather than before was always sampling. I mean, we sample, X number of observations. Maybe you find the outlier, maybe you don't, right? And you go with that. Although statistical significant, but imagine the possibilities that we have now. So I'm going to leave it with that because we don't have much time.
Yeah. And last question that I want to take, Sheila, if you can take this one. What advice would you have for current graduate students, especially doctoral students, about how to make themselves marketable to companies?
Yeah, I mean, I just think you got to be proud and accomplished of your successes. I mean, the fact that historically we mentioned that someone had to hide the fact they had a doctorate degree. I mean, that's just unacceptable. So I would just make sure that when I look at resumes, I'm super impressed with the credentials, but during the interview is where I think you make or break the opportunity. So one, take interviews very, very seriously. And during an interview, you want to make sure that you can understand how you differentiate yourself and why you can add value to the company. So your credentials are one thing, but use stories, use examples, use things that you did in college, use things that you've done in other places that you took a problem and you made it something much bigger because you saw the opportunity and you actually made an impact and a difference. So really, when you interview, don't show up to the interview last minute. Really give it some thought about how what you've done and your experience can help that company, and use that time to really differentiate yourself.
Thank you so much, Shiva. And I want to use the last few seconds. I know that we are running out of time, but before we close, I want to give each of you to give one short piece of advice for newly graduate or mid-career professionals, a career advice that you wish somebody has given you. So if Shiva, you want to continue with that.
Yeah, I just say life is a journey. Life is a journey. Your education is a great foundational building block. It does not define you. So don't let your education just define you. It's a building block, and just be open to all sorts of new opportunities, new things. Be open to those things, and just recognize that it's a journey and you should be super open to it and experience it, and use your credentials and your intelligence to help you get there.
Thank you. Nelima, what would be your advice?
I would just reiterate that if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And if it sounds too difficult, that's the place to be. So, push yourself, feel the butterflies.
Take the challenge.
Take the challenge.
Ileva, what is your piece of advice?
To be confident in yourself and what you can accomplish, and don't let others put you down.
Thank you. And Jessica, what would be your piece of wisdom?
Yeah, I would say find mentors, right? Keep on working on your confidence. The imposter syndrome, I see that question in there, does not end. And so you have to keep on working on your confidence and keep on learning.
Yeah, certainly. The more you know, the better you feel in your knowledge, the more confident you become. So thank you so much for the panelists being here today. Thank you for joining and spending 1 hour of your time and sharing your piece of advice. And thank you everyone that joined today's call. I hope that this was really insightful for you and really helpful in your career going forward. Thank you everyone, and have great rest of the day and the conference today.
Thanks, Maddie.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Coming into the data science program at UNC Charlotte, for anybody who's considering data science, I think it's important to consider and to realize that you don't need to be a mathematical genius. You don't need to be an expert programmer. The program will ensure that you have all the skills necessary in order to tackle the future data science problems. I've started from the ground up to ensure that my skills are being honed and being developed as we progress through. And I never felt like I was being left behind, especially with math, statistics, or computing.
Data is the present. Data is already being collected. It's how are we going to use it? Will we use it well?
Data science is more used to analyze outputs of future programs or future softwares, wanting them to go a certain way, and wanting things to go faster, wanting things to improve, and how you can mend programs in order to do so.
History of data science education has mostly been at the graduate level, but employers don't just need graduate level educated individuals to work on these problems. They need individuals coming into the job market with these skills at this level.
I'm very fortunate to be in the only bachelor's program of data science in the state, and beyond fortunate to be in one of the very few, less than 10 in the country. The special thing about a program like this that sets it apart from a lot of other different program and course programs is that the class structure in the course program encompasses all different facets of mathematics, statistics, and computing. So instead of having to take it upon yourself to learn all these individually, the program offers it for you.
Throughout the last 10 to 15 years, data science has always been in the top 3, often the top 1 field where industry needs more individuals with those skills.
They are in line with a bunch of different programs, especially in this part of the country. And my personal feelings about securing a job, I have no apprehension, and I know that there will be more endless opportunities to come in the future.